last year, it was found in a study that Louisiana was the worst state in the nation to raise a child, the worst. Now, early childhood education has to be a top priority. As Secretary White has pointed out, Governor Edwards did not include funding for early childhood in the latest executive budget. That should signal to Louisiana families that this is not a priority. I will reprioritize spending to make sure that early childhood education is a top-tier priority. And let me tell you, early childhood should start at birth. We've recognized that it's just not the 3- and 4-year-olds that need that early childhood education. Look, I'm a country doctor. I see these kids, and by the time they get to 3 or 4 years old, if they don't have this early childhood education before that, you have a failing child, and we're better than that in Louisiana. Our families need to be equipped and ready to set our kids on the right path. Some parents need help. Some parents don't need help. I've talked to Louisianians, and I know their priority. It's their priority, so it's my priority. We do have to fix our budget. We have dedicated funding for things that are far less important than early childhood education. Personally, I can't think of anything more important than a child. We've got to put Louisiana families first. We need at least $20 million to get 3,500 families off the wait list for early childhood care and educational service. They are on a wait list right now. By doing things like stopping the abuse of the Medicaid fund and prioritizing money, moving money from pots that haven't been used in 5 or 10, 15 years, we can find that money. And this just is not a low-income issue. These are middle-income families. They need help too.
Thank you. Governor, your turn.
Well, thank you. And Congressman, you're just entirely wrong. The state budget proposal that I submitted to the legislature maintains the state effort from last year for early childhood education. What we're missing is $8.8 million in a federal grant that wasn't renewed. So it's the federal dollars that we don't have. And as a congressman, I would expect you to know that.
I do know that,
and
we
fight
voted
for us
for
to
it
make sure that we lost the $8.8 million.
That's right. You know why?
We lost the money, so
You know
it's
why?
federal money. The state money we have. Now, that's in the budget. That's without change from last year. And I said in January that I am open to working with the legislature to find new sources of revenue, Sarah, in answer to your question, for early childhood education. Whether it's sports betting, whether it's Harris, whether it's other sources of information, of revenue that we can dedicate to early childhood education. And we are more resource constrained than I would like to be. But let me just tell you this, had we not resolved the $2 billion budget deficit, we wouldn't be talking about additional investments anywhere. And we are talking about that with respect to early childhood education. And it is important. That's why I established a commission to study and make recommendations. In fact, my wife, an educator, sat on that commission. It is critically important for our future because the truth is our schools do a pretty good job of educating kids who show up ready to learn. We have more than our fair share of kids who show up and they're not ready to learn. And we know that 80% of brain development happens in the first 5 years. And so we have to reach down and get those kids. I will agree, between 0 and 3. The first thing we have to do is make sure the waiting list for 4-year-olds is taken care of. And then we can reach down and get those kids from 0 to 3 so that more kids show up to school ready to learn. That is how we move forward. But it's not going to happen without a significant new investment. And the idea that Medicaid funds are available for that is just entirely wrong. Entirely wrong. We don't spend any state general fund, for example, on the Medicaid expansion. Not a single dollar. So that is an answer to nothing. We need to have reasonable discussions about these policies so that we can find workable solutions. That's what we have to do in the state of Louisiana, and that's what I've committed to do. I've said before, in my second term, this will be the #1 priority for new investment in the state of Louisiana. And between now and then, we're going to identify every available resource that we can bring to bear on it. And I expect you'll still be in the Congress, and I'm going to ask for your help so that we don't lose our federal dollars so that we can do that.